Hey guys, I'm back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be going over what I learned about functions in Python. This is an intermediate level video, so stay with me. All right, cool. So first thing you need to know about functions in Python is that this is a function. Show around self, or since I'm not defining this in a class, I'm actually doing it outside of the class. This will be cool. So define is a statement. It tells Python bind to a function object. Show URLs is the name of the function object that define is binding to, and then print is the body of the function that is defined by define show URL. So these this could be any number of commands. We all know that. These are arguments, and that's pretty much it, right? So that also learned how to call a class as if it was an object. So this idea of creating a class and using it as a function. This is interesting. All right, cool. So I'm going to create a function. I'm going to create a class, and I'm going to use it as a function. So I'm going to call this class resolve. Nope. Call the class resolve. I'm going to give it a init. So dunder init. I'm going to give it args. No, I don't want to give the class anything. I'm just going to call it self.cache. Okay, cool. So this will be our cache for this class, and then we're going to call a method that is going to turn the class into a function. This method is called call. This is a special Python method called call. All right, cool. So you override the call method on the class to turn the class into a function. It's kind of wild. We're gonna say call self, and then we're going to pass a host. So then we're going to say if host if host not in self.cache, then we're going to store within the cache host. I'm going to save it as host, and then we're going to return cache. We also want something to show us that this call method was actually being invoked. So we're going to put a print in here. Print was invoked. So we'll have proof that this call method actually was called when we created this. So then we're going to have outside of the class that we just defined, we're going to instantiate the class, and then we're going to pass the class parameters. The parameter that we passed in call was host. So the arg would be host, so we're going to pass the parameter of host. The parameter that we're going to pass is google.com or whatever. Cool. And then we're going to run this. Hold on, let me see how this works out. We're going to run this. Unexpected indent. Okay, hold on. We got to get my indentations correct. So White space is very important in Python. If you're using an IDE or any type of editor, I would most certainly suggest that you would get a syntax formatter that'll do the indentations for you. Syntax, cool. Take 0 positional arguments, but one is given. No, I don't have a positional argument given there. Define a net. Self maybe. Invoked. Cache. And cache is not defined. Self.cache. All right, great. Okay, so I got this right. How this looks is like this. So constructor self takes no arguments, but it creates states called cache, and we set it as an object, and then we define this call method, which turns the class into a function. We give it an argument, which is called host, and then we say if the host is not in self.cache on the class, then set the host into the cache, and then print was invoked, and then we return the cache. All right, cool. We're going to say self.cache host was invoked for proof that this actually did do what it said it was going to do. So we do that right here. There we go. Google.com was invoked. So the cache, the values within the cache, and then the proof that we actually invoked it. So what this gives you is a class that could be stateful in a way where you can use the function, the class as a function, and it could be stateful. So you can use it for creating any number of, or maintaining the state of the class in a very different way than you would normally do. And then also you have the ability to instantiate the class, call the class as if it was a function, and then call other methods on the same object that you instantiated. That's what it does. That's what it gives you. All right, cool. So we got that. And then we're going to go over whatever. The other thing that I learned was that arguments, how to pass in multiple positional arguments. So it is a positional argument. Positional argument is this. So we have, so we write another, we write show URLs, and then we say self, and then we say args, and then we say print args. Now, what this does is tell Python that this this method, show URLs, we can pass in any number of arguments, any number of positional arguments. That's what this asterisk is called. This is called a star argument. So here we have this resolve object. We're going to call show URLs, and then we're going to pass it multiple different URLs. So we're going to call it google.com, then we're going to call it yahoo.com for my 80s babies, 90s babies out there. And then we're going to call Microsoft.com for, you know, all my 90s babies out there. All right, cool. So we have this function. Hold up. Let me show more of it. Okay, cool. So we have this function, Microsoft. We have this function, show URLs. It is being called And let's see what it returns. It returns a tuple with the strings google.com, yahoo.com, microsoft.com. So that's show URLs, and it's returning to you all the different positional arguments that was given to this show URLs. Okay, cool. The next one that we're going to do is we're going to invoke, we're going to pass keyword arguments now. So I'm going to get rid of the show URLs. Actually, no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, quarks. This is interesting right here. So quarks are keyword arguments, and the difference here is this. When you're going to invoke a method with keyword arguments, you have to say star star and then pass the function the object itself. So, and then also you have to know that the keyword arguments come after always the positional arguments, right? So here what we're going to do is print quarks. So we're going to print out quarks, and we're going to create a little object. We're going to call this object. And then for object, we're going to say, or site1 yahoo.com, site2 google.com, and then site3 Microsoft.com. So what we're going to do now is print quark. So what happens when I print it? Blows up. Why? Because I used Ruby syntax. So cool. The key and the value, they both must be strings, I guess. Well, actually, no. The key needs to be string. So why didn't this work? Because I did not pass in object. So now I have to pass in object. It's crazy. That was mad retarded just now. Don't know why I did that. All right, cool. So so obj, I define it here, and then I pass it here. Do you think this will work? I think it won't work, but let's see why. Let's see what happens. See that? Blows up. The reason why is because if you're going to pass keyword arguments, you're going to have to, if you're not explicitly writing in a key in the argument, what you have to do is you have to say this. You see how I put the star star? That's basically how that works. So now it will print it out. That's it. That's all I got for you guys. This is my Python workout. I just showed you how to turn a class into a function, right? I showed you how to pass, or actually define methods with star arguments, positional arguments. It could take multiple different arguments. Then I showed you how to pass keyword arguments into a method as well. And then also I showed you how to invoke a method with keyword arguments. All right. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. There was some other syntax that I learned, but I'm just trying to keep this video as short as possible. So yeah, that's it for me. Peace, guys. Let's continue our little exercise, and till the next episode.